In this video, I'm going to be going over a Madden 25 Fantasy Draft Guide for the first 4 rounds. So I'm going to just kind of jump right into it because I don't want this video to be too long. So once you load up Madden 25, you're going to want to go to Franchise right here, and then you're going to want to click Create New League. And for some reason on PlayStation 5, for me right now, making this like a day after, or the on release day, you can only, for some reason, do fantasy drafts when you're doing offline solo. I don't know why that's the case. When I click online multiplayer or online solo or multiplayer, it does not work. So for me on PlayStation 5, I had to do offline solo in order to do a fantasy draft. So I don't know why. Then when you do select roster, you're going to want to click, the NFL updated roster, whatever week it is that you're playing.
Choose the team you want to start
Then
your
when you're doing your
franchise
team,
with.
obviously do whoever you want. Just so you know, it doesn't really matter that much. It kind of matters to um, their future draft picks and stuff like that. But I mean, then their coach, it definitely matters if you do the default coach. But do who you want. I'm just gonna do a random one. I'm gonna do the Eagles,
Use
sure.
the options on the left to edit league
And
settings
then,
and
just so
choose
you
what
know
role you
too,
want to run the
you're going
show
to want to
as,
change
a
starting point
coach
to
or an
fantasy
owner.
draft. Make sure you do that. It should say start playing fantasy draft at the top if you did it correctly. And then there are a few settings that you kind of have to change, and I'll show some optional ones as well. So the few settings you have to change is turn draft timer off. Although I have noticed this is glitchy right now. I think it's just a bug in the current release of the game. I'm assuming they're going to fix it, but make sure you turn that off. And when you start the draft, you're probably going to want to click pause as well. And then when it says fantasy draft order right here, you're going to want to change this to snake. Because if it is at standard, that means the first pick in the draft will get the first pick every single round. And that is not good. You don't want to do that. You want it to snake so that the first pick doesn't pick again, until the last pick of the second round. And, it goes through that the whole way. And then other than that, another one you're probably going to want to change off to is just pre-existing injury. In my opinion, that's just, you should probably turn that off unless you want to make it super realistic, I guess. But and then I also usually turn off practice injury, but that's up to you. And then the only other ones that I do like to change, but you don't have to, I like to make these a little bit higher. So I just think it's kind of more fun if you have more X Factor, Superstar, and Star Develop players. And I do honestly think some players deserve it who didn't get it. And then obviously the skill level, the time, and stuff like that. All these other things you can change yourself. I know sometimes people like to change some of these to automatic, but that's up to you. You don't need to do that. Those other ones I said you do need to do, or else it'll kind of be broken. So moving on here to the actual draft, you're going to want to start your draft. If you're playing with other people, wait for them to sign on. But if
Every
not,
career
here we go.
starts.
They show this video. I am skipping that. And I actually have the first overall picks, which I'm kind of happy about. So notice too, I paused the draft. You're going to want to do that. Even though I turned the setting on, it for some reason I've noticed is glitchy, and it automatically auto picks after a minute and 30 seconds. So just heads up with that. So looking at the first round, I'll also link a Google Docs in the description for all these picks I'm looking at. So I have the players ranked in what order they're likely going to get picked based on drafts that I simulated and looked back. So notice, since I'm the first overall pick, the rest of the picks don't show. And next round, I'll have the last pick in the second round. So it will show all the picks that were before me. But there is not a way currently, without quitting and coming back in, to look at picks drafted before you, which is super annoying. So right now, the top 10 picks or so are going to be quarterbacks. So one other thing that's annoying, when you go to make your selection, you have to change it to overall grade. It starts off at scout status, and I don't even know what that means. So, all right. Anyways, without further ado, starting off at the first pick, your pick is probably going to be Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, or Josh Allen. Those 4 guys are always the top 4 picks in that order. Um, you know, pick who you want, obviously, but I would recommend if you have a top 10 pick, you probably want to get an elite quarterback. And then after those 4, it actually goes Tua goes next, Justin Herbert goes after him, Jalen Hurts goes next, Brock Purdy goes next, and then Dak goes next. So even though Dak is technically like a higher overall, that's just kind of the order that they go in. So just so you guys, know, the overall is by no means, who goes first or who goes second or anything like that. It's based on I think a lot of different factors, and I think a lot of the factors are pretty logical. And then, if you're in the mid round, first round, that's where you really get a lot of flexibility. Guys like Sauce Gardner start to go, Micah Parsons, Patrick Surtain, Justin Jefferson, Max Crosby, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb. So a lot of the like really, really good guys, all the really good X Factor guys. So I actually go to all positions and then sort by development trait. Your high overall X Factor guys are going to be the ones that go in the first round. I would definitely recommend drafting an X Factor in the first round. And, if you want to get your franchise quarterback in the first round, that's fine. I also think it's fun sometimes to get like a young quarterback that's not going in the first round, like some of the rookies, like Caleb Williams is fun. But, for this purpose, to make it realistic, I would probably have to go Pat Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, or Allen. And for this, I'm going to go Josh Allen just because I think he's the most fun out of, all those guys. So. And I'm going to skip that too. You can also turn off that setting if you want, but see it says Josh is ranked number 4 out of all QBs, so that makes sense. Now moving on to the second round. As you can see, since I have the last pick in the round, it gives me every single pick that went before me in this round. There is not a way that I see currently that you can, see it otherwise looking at this big draft board, but I do like this feature. This is a new feature to the game. So as you can see, some quarterbacks go, a lot of X Factor guys go as well, a couple linemen, a lot of cornerbacks actually go in the first 2 or 3 rounds, which I don't personally like picking, but starting off at, let's see, the last pick 64. So let's see, guys like Jeffrey Simmons, he just went, okay. Daniel Hunter is available. Daniel Hunter could be a good pick here. Mark Andrews just went to the Eagles, which is kind of funny. Cooper Kupp just went. Terry McLaurin went. I don't think Chase Young went. So I'd say Chase Young could be a good pick here. And as well as Daniel, I think I already said that, Daniel Hunter could be a pick here. So once you get to the second round, guys definitely go a little bit out of order here. So at this pick, like I said, I think I could get a really good right end here. So in my opinion, the first 2 rounds, you do want to get an edge rusher or a D tackle. So the best 2 here are going to be Daniel Hunter or Chase Young. And, in my opinion, Daniel Hunter, he's a superstar, but he's kind of older. Whereas Chase Young, I believe he's slightly younger. Yeah, he's 25. So in my opinion, Chase Young would be the better pick here. I would not recommend reaching really far in this round, but if we look back at the draft board, let's see, the only other guy I would consider, oh no, Tristan Wirfs just went. Tristan Wirfs might be my favorite second round player, same with Penei Sewell, just because they're such good offensive tackles that's kind of hard to find late in the draft. So in my opinion, I'm just double checking my draft board here, I would probably get an edge rusher, and that edge rusher is probably going to be Chase Young. So in my opinion, that just makes the most sense right here for me. There's definitely plenty of other guys I could have gotten here, but I think Chase Young is a good pick. If you look at him, he says he's the 11th right end, and that does add up. So now we're on to the third round. Again, I'm the first pick here, so I can't see any of the other picks unless I quit the draft and go back. So looking at the third round here, and no, my pick won't be till very, very later on in the fourth round. In the third round, so right now, if I look at who I drafted already, I got my quarterback and I got my end. So at this point, I could get an offensive lineman, or I could get another D lineman and really stack my D line, or I could get, I think, like a receiver, tight end, running back, guy like that. So if we look, and I'll kind of show you the board as well while I'm thinking over this, because it doesn't really matter that much, because I'll kind of be referring to my Google Docs here. If I wanted to go edge rusher here, I think at the left end, they should still be available. At left end, Greg Rousseau is a great pick here, as well as Rashawn Gary, both guys that are super young. It would be a little bit of a reach, but that's fine because my pick isn't for a while. But I think Will Anderson goes. Where does Will Anderson go? Will Anderson, oh my gosh, does he not go to the 5th round? Actually, I think Will Anderson doesn't even go in the 3rd or 4th round, so, but I do like him. He's just like a young, fun player. Yeah, he doesn't even go in the 3rd or 4th round, so I will not be picking him. But some other guys that go early on, George Kittle ends up going early 2nd round. in my opinion, there's just like better tight ends to pick than him. I think he already went actually. Um, I'm sorry, George Kittle goes early, third round usually. There's a couple cornerbacks that go as well. Jace Horn could be a good pick here. But again, I don't love picking corners early because you can get some like pretty decent corners late, like really, really late in the draft. But if you wanted to, solidify your defense with the lockdown corner one, I think that's, very doable as well. There's also some decent receivers that go right around here. Some guys like DK Metcalf usually goes, Keenan Allen, Garrett Wilson. And then the only other, really option at early third round, I think, is at defensive tackle, which, if we look here, would be, if I go to overall, would be Chris Jones, but he's a little older. Quinnen Williams, I think, is a great pick here as well. And then that's really it for defensive tackle right now. Jonathan Allen's a decent pick later, but so I think my options here are either get a good receiver or solidify my D line because there's not a lot of offensive linemen that go in the third round. I actually don't know if there's almost no offensive linemen other than like Creed Humphrey, which goes later on, and Frank Ragnow, which goes early fourth. So I would not recommend drafting a lineman unless you go Creed Humphrey, who is really good. Don't get me wrong, but um, let's see. In this round, I'm going to go back to receivers to see if there's anyone I like there. I think I said, did DK Metcalf get drafted already? Yeah, he must have got drafted already. DK Metcalf would have been a great pick here. Or Keenan Allen. I don't love him because he's old. Garrett Wilson could be a really good pick here, but he's only star factor, which I don't love getting a star factor guy in the third round. So, oh man, this is tough. I think the pick here might be a D tackle, like get a really good line. D tackle or left end would be the pick here, I think. I think that really makes the most sense. Greg Rousseau, Rashawn Gary, who are both, beasts and both super young, 26 superstar. I believe Greg Rousseau is superstar. He should be superstar. No, he's only star, but he's younger, so that's kind of a factor there as well. And then at D tackle, again, I think our only options here. Actually, when does Chris Jones go? Does Chris Jones go? I feel like Chris Jones is here, and he shouldn't be here. I feel like Chris Jones usually goes in the second round. No, actually, no, he does go later. But Chris Jones is a great pick, but he's just old. I think that must be why he goes later on, just because of his age. But yeah, I think you could get a young, good receiver here, like Puka Nacua goes, A Flower goes later on. So I think that definitely could be an option here, but I think that's like a little bit of a reach, and you also can get like good receivers later on too. So I do think that like Puka or Zay like could be a good option here if you're into that. But I think for me, oh man, oh yeah, Chris Jones does go early, third round. I do think for me, I'm gonna go D tackle, and I'm gonna go Quinnen Williams. He's young, he's a beast, he's superstar factor, could be X factor very easily. All right, and then if we look at round 4, the last kind of pick here. So if we look here, some receivers start going, like Nico Collins, Chris Godwin. We also have a lot of linemen that start going here, as well as a lot of like your high overall guys, like Travis Kelce, Saquon Barkley, like guys like that. So if we look at the end of the fourth here, I have guys like Stephon Gilmore, Tyreek Wooden, Jordan Addison, Jonathan Jones, Deontay Johnson, and Russell Douglas going here. If Rashawn Slater is available, I think that's a great pick right here because I do not have a offensive lineman yet, and I actually kind of like this so far. So in the first 4 picks, I got my quarterback, I got a right end, a D tackle, and an offensive lineman. That would be pretty solid. You also could get a receiver or tight end, but honestly, I think I don't mind waiting a little bit for those guys. Like guys like I said, Deontay Johnson, Jordan Addison, if they're even available still. Yeah, Deontay Johnson's still available. Jordan Addison, I believe, got drafted. It looks like. Yeah, I think he got drafted already. But you can get young rookies in this draft, like Marvin Harrison Jr. later on too. So I think if Ryan Slater is still available, left tackle, I think that's actually a great pick right here. I would definitely recommend picking a left tackle like within the first 5 or 6 rounds. So a 25-year-old star, that's like a really good pick in my opinion. I'm interested to see what they have him ranked at left tackle. Number 7, okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair ranking because there's some older guys who are better. But yeah, so that is the top 4 picks right there. So if I take a look at who I drafted, I had the first overall picks. That was just kind of like interesting for the video, but I got Josh Allen, Chase Young, Quinnen Williams, and Rashawn Slater. I think that's like an insanely good team. Even though Chase Young is like technically like a lower overall, you got to think I got him, at the end of the second round, so there was like a pretty good gap there. Versus like if I got a guy, at the beginning or middle of the second round, I'd definitely have a lot better guy, but I also wouldn't have one of the best quarterbacks in the game. So, all right. Other than that, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like. If I made any mistakes or you think there's guys that are going, earlier or later than what I said, feel free to leave a comment below as well. And also in the description, I'm going to put the Google Docs that I was using, or like Google spreadsheet that I was using, so you guys can take a look at that. It has all of the first 4 rounds ranked in order right now, and I'm going to continue kind of ranking the rounds. It just kind of takes a while because I have to like go back and forth and do it by hand. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.